The Battle of Rappahannock River was fought in 1813 during the War of 1812. A British force blockading the Rappahannock River of Virginia sent several hundred men in boats to attack 4 American privateers. Ultimately, the British were victorious and the American ships were captured. Background: on April 1, 1813, a British squadron consisting of the ships of the line San Domingo and Marlborough, 4 frigates Acasta, Narcissus, Maidstone and Statira, 2 brigs, Mohawk and Phantom and 1 schooner, High Flyer, blockaded the Rappahannock from Lynnhaven Bay. They held several American prizes and were out to capture more, so the British commanders prepared a cutting-out expedition, where small boats attempt to capture larger vessels at anchor. On the following day, the British dispatched 17 pinnaces, barges, launches, and other boats with a few carronades to sail around the bay. Each boat carried up to 50 Marines or sailors, mainly armed with steel. Lieutenant James Polkinghorne was in command. While abreast of Windmill Point at about 4 p.m., the expedition sighted 5 American vessels and chased them all through the night until losing sight as they passed a turn in the river. The British had difficulty in rowing up the Rappahannock, so during the descent 12 of the boats fell far behind, leaving only 5 British craft, 1 12-pounder and 105 officers and men to make the attack. 4 of the pursued ships were armed schooners under Captain William S. Stafford in the 12-gun Dolphin. The others were Lynx of 6 guns, Racer of 6 guns and Arab of 7 guns. In all, the American schooners mounted 30 guns with 160 men. Most or all of these vessels were built in Baltimore. Captain Stafford had little alternative but to scuttle the schooners of fight. He decided to offer resistance and anchored his ships in line of battle with portside guns facing the mouth of the Rappahannock, where the British would originate. Battle. The largest of the American ships was Arab of over 380 tons but with a crew of only 45 men. She was most in line and was considered to be the most warlike of the 4. Dolphin of 300 tons was headmost and she was Captain Stafford's flagship, carrying 98 men into battle. When the British came within sight of the American line, they first stopped to wait for the wind and the remaining 12 boats to come up, so Polkinghorne took the time to rally his men. After a few more minutes the wind was still calm, so the lieutenant ordered an attack in order to deny the Americans time to prepare defenses or escape. Polkinghorne sent a boat with the 12-pounder forward to commence an artillery duel with the intention of delaying the Americans, but this failed when Stafford's ships all opened fire with a combined broadside. Lieutenant Polkinghorne decided to stop waiting at this point and he led his boats directly for the center. 2 American ships, Racer and Lynx, each of 280 tons and with crews totaling 76 men. As the British closed range, the Americans fired another broadside, so Polkinghorne had his men alter course and head for Arab. When the British boats drew near, there were 3 left, 2 having been hit and sunk by American fire. The remaining Britons boarded while shouting various phrases. Arab Tactor tried to bring her starboard guns into battle, but she was boarded before achieving this, and so her commander ran her aground on the river bank. Racer and Lynx were quickly taken. Their crews surrendered as the British climbed on deck. Others jumped over the side and escaped capture. When Polkinghorne went for Dolphin, Captain Stafford put up a stubborn fight and it reportedly took 15 minutes to secure the vessel. 5 Americans were wounded before Dolphin struck her colors and ended the battle, though casualties from the other privateers amounted to 6 killed and 5 more wounded. By the time the fighting was over, the remaining British boats arrived and assisted in taking over 100 prisoners. Aftermath. Polkinghorne reported that only 2 of his men were killed and 11 wounded, including himself. American newspaper reports in Niles Register at first claimed that 50 Britons had been killed, later reducing that claim to 19 dead. A review by British and American historians later put the British losses at 2 dead and 11 wounded, with American losses as 16 killed and wounded. The battle lasted in between 15 minutes and 2 hours according to various accounts. Captain Stafford later returned to Baltimore. He was treated well in captivity, partly due to his good treatment towards British prisoners from his captured prizes. Lynx was taken into British service as Mosquitoet and was sold out of the Royal Navy in 1820. A replica of Lynx now spends its time on an educational mission sailing back and forth between the Great Lakes and Florida's Gulf Coast. Racer became Shelburne and often retained her name as Dolphin. It was difficult for the British to free Arabin, though they eventually succeeded. The vessel was apparently badly damaged and was not commissioned for British service.